welcome to this week's Film Hound podcast. I'm joined with Katie Hogan, the Deputy Editor of Film Hounds magazine, and Paul, the Features Editor. I'm David Garlick, I'm the founder of Film Hounds. I just want to say thanks everyone for listening so far. We are now on YouTube, so you may be listening to us on YouTube. If you are listening on YouTube, we are on all your regular podcast providers. So if you now go to filmpodcast.co.uk, that will take you to a link tree to Spotify, Acast, Apple. So yeah, if you want to listen to us just with your ears, not on your screen with YouTube, please do that. And I've been reminded by Katie before we started to remind everyone, we are a magazine. Not us, but Film Hounds is a magazine, in print and online. So if you go to filmhounds.co.uk, print magazine, and just daily news, reviews, features, interviews, quite big name interviews as well. Hello guys, here we are again.
Hey,
How you doing?
Reunited and it feels so good.
What have you both been up to since we last saw each other? You know?
watching films, doing stuff.
I'm just gonna probe you with like as a hostage situation, like just tell me now.
I've been recovering from our big blowout at the Oscars party.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
When we was partying
Exhausted.
hard with all of our celebrity friends.
Yeah, week-long parties, a lot to keep up.
Yeah.
We should have I should have added music in the background and
Terrific
chatter.
fun. Terrific fun with all of our Hollywood pals, Adrian and those Amelia Perez lads and Mikey Madison, all of them. We had a great great time.
All the people.
It's a bit of a come down now because we're just in the street in Leicester Square.
Yeah.
And it's a bit cold. It's very quiet. It's very quiet. There's no one around. It's a bit eerie, isn't it?
It's a bit late, isn't it?
Bit late, yeah. Why are we doing it at midnight?
We had a great time. Katie was partying down, having a boogie. David was trying to start fights with all the people from A Complete Unknown. I got chatted up by Mick Jagger. It was a great time. We had a great gas.
Oh, I didn't even see Mick Jagger. I must have been partying. It's so hard.
It was like, all right, guys, I can't do Mick Jagger. It's
Please
my one
don't.
thing I can't just sound like Michael Caine.
Feel
All
like
right, guys.
impressions on the podcast shouldn't become a thing.
Yes,
No,
they
should.
have been mentioned, by the way. They're like, another impression.
Yeah.
By us.
Who? Right.
By us, offline.
Private chat.
Who mentioned impressions?
Well, me and Katie to each other.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but you two don't count as people.
Oh,
Wow. Just
But
entities
yeah.
that are on here.
there's definitely been. I kept the last one in, but there has been
A lot.
cuts. There's been cuts.
I was going to say on the Letterbox episode, every time I mentioned a film, Paul, you did an impression of somebody from the film I mentioned. So,
I don't know what you're talking about, Big Dan.
But so you've actually both been to see some new films, haven't you? Screenings and whatnot.
yes, there's a lot going on. I would say for once, but no, there's always a lot going
There's
on because
always a lot going on.
there's always like a billion films just being released, and it's sometimes overwhelming, but sometimes it's nice.
It's true. It's a
Yeah.
booming, healthy film business, and
Indeed.
it's hard to see everything. That's why That's why there are multiple writers for Film Hounds, as opposed to just one person
We are many.
with their eyes clockwork oranged open to watch everything.
I saw a new film this week.
What did you see? Dave?
Back to the Future. It's
The musical.
no. It's just a
That would
film
have been new.
with my daughter, and she's desperate to watch Back to the Future 2. So
This is good.
Back to the Future. Yeah, but do you know what? Back to the Future 3, underrated. I really like it.
Funny you say that. My partner also loves Back to the Future 3 a lot. And I have to keep saying it's about Back to the Future 2. I don't know if it's because I saw that one first. I seem to see all the 80s, like the big 80s movies. I always saw the sequel first. But yeah.
Do you know what? All three Back to the Futures feature my favourite moment in Back to the Future in them, which is the bit after the DeLorean goes towards the end, spoilers, and then your Doc Brown runs down the two streaks of fire cheering. Is my
Yes.
favourite moment in the film. Just the pure joy on Christopher Lloyd's face,
Yeah.
and they play it in all three films, so I get to see that bit. And
So I think next
Back to the
weekend,
Future's great.
Back to the Future Part 2.
It's Back to the Future. I mean, your kid's like 6. Back to the Future's quite. Like, I reckon if it was released today, it'd be 12A because there's a lot of like racism and incest in it.
Well, my daughter doesn't really like understand a lot of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, but they're like
I did
rewatching
do-
it recently.
I did check to say is it suitable? I know, obviously I've seen it and I know what it's about, but I was like, is it a bit weird?
Risque.
She did say something like
Who are
when
the Libyans?
Marty and his mum were kissing, she was like, I think she likes him, and it's a bit like, yeah, just
That's
Daddy,
wrong.
what's a
yep.
That's
move
wrong,
on.
Daddy?
child.
What's a spook? What are the Libyans?
She didn't go that deep. I did get. I did.
What are the Libyans? They're people from Libya.
Why are they evil?
I did cover eyes when they arrived though, because I couldn't remember if you see him getting shot violently, but I thought just close your eyes anyway.
It's not because you don't see blood,
No.
because it would have had to be a 15. I think that's the rule. If you see
Yeah.
someone get shot and there's blood, it's a 15 now.
It's
So
su-
I think it would be a 12A.
It is suitable though. Like if you,
Oh, it's not a PG for sure.
yeah,
Just
it was
saying. Parental guidance, David.
yeah, parental. So everyone listening for my parental reviews, it's suitable for 6-year-olds. Lower than 6, no.
Also, Biff like was about to R word Lorraine. Like
Yes, but
like had George not shown up, he would have assaulted Lorraine in
Yes.
that movie.
absolutely. But obviously, when you're a kid, because when I was a kid, I was like, oh, what's he trying to do? Like he's trying to kiss her or something. And that's bad. That's bad enough. When you get older, you obviously go like, yep, I know exactly what he was trying to do. We're laughing about it, but yeah, it's horrible. But
it's just because it's considered this lovely family. It's a bit like when you rewatch Grease and you're like, this is a film about like
yeah, Grease is
gangs.
a funny
Greece is insane because it's like literally summer nights. Everyone's like, I love summer nights. And it's like they're literally like, did she get knocked unconscious and then did you fuck her? And it's like, guys,
Yeah.
she nearly drowned. She nearly drowned.
He nearly drowned. He nearly drowned. No, she nearly drowned.
I saved her life.
Oh, she nearly drowned. My bad.
He showed off.
Can she get me a friend?
We spoke about this before with the toys from the 80s and that, and how like these toys were targeted at kids, but they're really dark. I think we at some point should choose a few of these films
that are much darker than you realize, because Grease is like they're like threatening to stab each other. It's like gang warfare.
Pick any musical, and very likely
Saturday Night Fever is the worst. Saturday Night Fever. I bring this up a lot because I was shocked when I saw it, because there's 90s cuts probably is where it's in the afternoon, but the amount of racism, R word, as you said.
I had seen the cut version of Saturday Night Fever as like a kid, and to the point where the poster said, "We've cut this film because we want you to see the performance. We want you to see the dancing. We want you to hear the music." And then when I watched the proper. And then when I was doing my degree, we watched Saturday Night Fever for like a thing on masculinity. And I was watching it going, I don't remember there being this much like violence and suicide. And like,
to a lesser extent, this happened to me with Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I grew up loving this film. And when I grew up, I bought the DVD myself because my parents refused. I don't know why. We had it on like taped VHS. Get a DVD.
I hate Bryan Adams.
No, they love the film as well. We used to watch it like on a Sunday afternoon with crackers, like crackers and Marmite. It was lovely. But
that's quite cute.
I watched the DVD. It's completely different to the TV cut. There is so much stuff in it where you're like, oh, this actually makes way more sense with these scenes added in. But there's a lot more. It's a lot darker. That's in both versions, but like there's a lot more witchcraft. There's a lot more darker stuff. Obviously, like the ending where he is trying to her at the altar. again, that's one thing my child brain didn't get. And then as I get older, I'm like, yeah, we all know exactly what he's trying to do because the witch even says, like, take, you must take her now. And we're all like, oh, he wants to get married now. No, no, no. He wants to impregnate her
They didn't put
now.
that in the version with the fox.
I don't think I've seen the actual version since I was a kid, so this is all news to me
Watch the
completely.
uncut version. Watch
I
it.
fast forward to all the bits with Alan Rickman. That's all I care about is Alan
I'm sure you
Rickman
can
doing the
find that on
Lord's work.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Why
The
a
Alan Rickman
spoon,
cut.
cousin? Because it is
Ro
blunt, it'll hurt more.
There's
uh,
another
He's great.
impression.
yeah. RoboCop as well. RoboCop's a brutal cut because I'm sure that was on at like 3 p.m. on a Saturday. But if you watch the version
What
now,
was I watching? What was I watching on ITV? And they cut loads of stuff out. ITV are the worst for it. They're like, let's show the Lost World at 4 in the afternoon, but cut all the good bits. And it's
well,
like, well, then don't show it at 4 in the effing afternoon. Just
in,
Yeah.
show it at 9 o'clock if you can't show the little girl getting attacked by the little dinosaurs. You
They
can't,
cut
it's the
that
best.
out.
Yeah, they cut that out. They cut straight to the yawn. They cut the bit
Oh,
where they cut that great bit where they cut the bit where Eddie gets ripped into. They
that's
cut
horrible. I feel sorry for Eddie.
yeah, he was a good dude. The bit where they're in the grass and the raptors are like pulling them under the grass. They cut
well,
all of that good shit.
I wonder.
Oh, so it's like an hour-long movie then.
Exactly. It's just, ooh, you need to go to Jurassic Park. No, 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 no.
Sarah, Sarah.
I
Yeah.
wonder what the
How many
darkest
surgeries are
film.
on this island?
I wonder what the darkest point is. What a darkest film you could show in the afternoon on like ITV and get away with it without any cuts.
It depends if you mean visually or if you mean like themes wise. Because I suppose like the Boy in the Striped Pajamas is like you could show that in the afternoon, but it's bloody dark.
I mean,
So I suppose I mean, I wouldn't show it at two on a Sunday. Like, get the family around. Let's watch Boy in
Yeah.
the Striped Pajamas.
that is not a
But
family movie.
it
In
is
America,
technically like a PG or something.
yeah. In America, I think they just show anything at any time.
It's the same here though. If you like streaming, you could literally play any
Yeah.
film at any time. It is at your fingertips. I know you've got like was it child control, so like you can stop them from seeing certain things. This actually happened to a friend of mine. She had she had Disney on like child lock. So she was
Yeah.
like, "Why can't I see Only Murders in the Building? Why is it not coming up for me?"
But there's so many things of Disney that are you can't see things you wouldn't even imagine being wrong for like a 2-year-old, and they're not on there because of smoking and random words.
It's like
You
saying
have,
rats and
can't,
smoking.
that
Terrible.
you have to go in the adult version. Adult. I'm doing air quotes. It's not adult.
Oh,
Like just to watch half the cartoons animations that you think are safe.
it's
I quite,
ridiculous.
I do find it quite funny when I'm showing my son, like, I'm like, oh, let's watch Aladdin. And then the little disclaimer comes up and he's like, what does it say? Because obviously he can't really read it. Basically, what they're saying is they're sorry that they did some racisms, but they're not going to get rid of them. And he's like, which bits are racist? And I'm like, give it 2 minutes. And then I'm like, Robin Williams doing a Middle Eastern accent. That's racist. Um, they cut off your ear if they don't like your face. That's racist. All of Arabian Nights.
Oh, but remember, it's not Arabia. It's a mystical place. Remember, the live action told us so. Even though the song is called Arabian Nights, so it must be in
Arabian
South in Arabia somewhere.
Nights.
My God, that whole thing.
They're all voiced by white people.
The Robin of the Lamp is X-rated, I would say.
it's
Really?
it's just like when you watch Lady and the Tramp and they're like, we're sorry about the Siamese cats, guys. We are sorry. We're sorry about
They
wait,
keep
no, because they don't cut.
apologizing for everything. All these films were made at a time when these things were
No,
acceptable.
I
They're not
think
acceptable now, but we know they're not acceptable now.
I
So
would
the
I would say I would prefer a little disclaimer to go, look, at the time it was actually okay to do these kind of Asian impressions, and that's why we did. Obviously, we don't condone it, but I would rather that than they just go cut it, delete it from
yeah,
history. Because it's like,
that's it.
no, show it, because it's a good relic of the time.
Okay, you went to a screening the other day, didn't you? So what did you see?
So I saw Opus, which comes out at the end of this week. This is it's another A24 darling. Starring
My
Io.
favorite director.
Well, actually,
Did you call me
well,
darling?
no, I was saying that it's a. Oh my God. I was saying that
I know, I know.
okay, right, yeah. Because A24 is definitely a distinctive brand now. So when you see a trailer come out, you're like, oh, this is an A24. Or if you hear about a film or you hear about a story, you're like, that sounds like an A24 film. And sure enough, yes, Opus is definitely a fully formed A24 darling film. Right, so the Opus stars Io Edebiri and John Malkovich. There is another whole host of actors in it, but the main focus is these two. So Opus is about the return of a legendary pop star who mysteriously disappeared 30 years before, called Moretti, and he decides to drop a new album, and he only wants to invite a handful of select people to come and listen to it at his very strange and isolated compound. And one of the people that he invites is a little known journalist played by Io Edebiri, and as well as her editor. And it's the same kind of scenario that we've seen before with things like Blink Twice and The Menu, where you have a small group of people brought to a mysterious place, headed by a mysterious, charismatic leader, and you know something's off the minute you get to the compound. And I keep saying compound because it's very obvious from the minute you arrive at the compound that Moretti has started a cult. But the chaos doesn't sort of, what's the word? It doesn't snowball. There's chaotic and strange things from the minute they arrive, and Io's character is the sort of fish out of water. This is new for her. It was a real shock for her to get the invite, and she's being diligent by taking notes while the other characters that from Moretti has met over his time and over his career, they're all like enjoying it, having drinks, embracing everything, while she's on edge and notes things that is off. But I don't want to give too much away. My review does drop. It does drop on Film Hounds today, so it's a spoiler-free one. So feel free to read that through in depth. But
I think it's already up actually.
oh, it's already out. It's already
Yeah.
dropped. um, but yeah, it's a weird one. So I wouldn't go in thinking that this is going to be something completely new and original. The Apart from John Malkovich's character, which is definitely someone we haven't seen in a while, his outfits alone are something to be admired. He's a complete spectacle, and you can see that he's enjoying every single minute of it. Whether he's like strutting around in high heels on a stage, or writhing around on the floor, or gyrating in front of people's faces, he's very entertaining. Plus, the music is actually really fun. Um, but I say go in for a laugh, go in to enjoy it, but it is something you've seen before. If you've seen things like, as I said, Blink Twice or The Menu, but
Okay.
it's enjoyable. Just don't go in thinking that you're going to be seeing something that you've never ever seen before.
I'm going in with
So
low
when you
expectations.
say when you say it's a bit like The Menu, is it a bit of a like a one of those eat the rich stories that are quite popular now?
See, The Menu is like Eat the Rich. Blink Twice is kind of like
Well,
a
that's more a Me Too type thing,
yes,
isn't it?
but the thing is the setups are very similar.
Oh, so you
A
go
group
somewhere
of
where there's this charismatic rich
Yes,
person.
there's a charismatic
Right, right.
rich person who is mysterious. You're not quite sure where they've been in a while, and you are taken to a place of isolation, and you're surrounded by people you don't really know, and there's a sense of dread. But with Opus, it doesn't hide it. With the other two, you kind of lulled into a false sense of like, okay, maybe this could be fun. But with Opus, you're like, this is off. Everything's really off. Um, but like there's an agenda from the very beginning, which is, I guess, it's a new take, but it just feels very similar to stuff that you've seen before.
Does
Yeah,
does the casting of John Malkovich add to that? Because I feel like when you say
absolutely.
Like Blink Twice, you think, well, Channing Tatum's a nice guy. Everyone likes Channing Tatum. He's a cool dude. And then when you watch The Menu, you're like, Ray Fiennes is like a prestige actor. He wouldn't do this like a trashy horror film. Whereas John
Yes.
Malkovich is like John Malkovich likes a slice of cheese. You know, like when you think about John Malkovich, you think about. I mean, obviously
He's a
he's done
weird
like
guy.
he's a wig. Also, I mean, anytime someone mentions John Malkovich, I just think Johnny English.
Okay, that's not what I think of at all. Whenever I think of John Malkovich, I think about that time he was killing someone with an axe in Burn After Reading.
I'm bigger than ever, you fuckers. I'm back.
Yes, but this is why I think casting John Malkovich kind of saves the film a bit because he's
Oh, is it one of his over the top crazy Malkovich
well, this is the
and
thing.
Jan Malkovich?
He's an extroverted character, but there's a lot that he seems to be holding back, which I found
Okay,
interesting. And he asks a lot of questions when Io's character is sort of questioning things like she's trying to be a bit like, so what's going on here? What do you guys all do? And he finds it interesting that she's asking questions. And you see that he's kind of more relaxed and natural with her than anybody else. Everyone else, he seems to be extroverted and crazy and out there.
I can
But
see
with
where the
her,
menu
he's
comparisons
quiet.
is coming from then, yeah, as well.
Yeah.
Is that sort of relationship that Slowick has with the Anya Taylor-Joy character, where he starts to sort of kind of respect her a bit, even though he hates everyone else that's there.
Yeah, but there's also a reason behind Aya's character. I keep calling Aya's character. The character's name is Ariel, sorry. There's a reason why
Ooh,
Ariel has
nice
been
one.
invited. And that's another thing. It's very obvious why she's been invited. But I don't want to say anything because I want people to enjoy it for what it
It's
is.
not been heavily advertised as well, like because
No,
I've not
because
seen a trailer or an advert or anything about it.
I'm
I just know
avoiding
that.
them.
Yeah, I mean, I to be fair, now that I know that everyone I know said you got to avoid finding out about it, I've started to avoid.
yeah, actually, if you've not seen a trailer, that's pretty good. Um, the trailer doesn't really give much away, but it just adds to the sense of, oh, things aren't quite right here. So if you've avoided seeing the trailer, that's good. That means you've not seen some of the stuff that's in it, and you'll get a nice surprise when you go to the cinema. But I can tell you why it's probably not been widely advertised. I think this is one of the films that Warner Brothers has picked up and gone, yeah, this didn't review amazingly, so we are gonna just put it out there and see what happens.
So I finally saw Mickey 17 and I really didn't enjoy it.
Oh,
Really?
I just thought it was a bit boring, and also the characters, every single character was really annoying. But the main reason I want to bring it up is because I occasionally put my review, my scores, my star rating on Instagram, and I got a lot of abuse from people who disagreed with me. So I just want to say, everyone has their own opinion, so go fuck yourself.
who
Um,
was abusing you? What the hell?
it wasn't
That's
abuse
some.
really.
All right.
It wasn't abuse. It was just that people
It was
disagreeing.
me. It was
It's
me
just Paul sending barrages of
Yeah.
insults.
and my
Um,
burner accounts.
what
No, I would never do that. I would never send abuse to somebody for an opinion.
have you been watching for you?
So, I have got some good news, guys. There's a new Danny Dyer movie. You slags.
Way!
Come on, you slags. There's a new Danny fucking Dyer movie out. He's back with Nick Love, the director of Football Factory and The Business and The Firm remake and Outlaw and the Sweeney movie. They're back together. What
I
do
have a
you want,
question.
David? Yes.
Well, I could avoid spoilers for this, but I probably know what the film's gonna be like and about. So I don't need to
Well,
like. Oh, go on, then. Tell us.
let me tell you the premise of Nick Love's new film, his first film in 10 years, Marching Powder. Danny Dyer plays a cocaine addicted football hooligan. Stop me if you've heard this before.
What? He's never done that before. How unique.
I know.
We said about the film, like your life, Paul.
Stop me if I've told you my life story before, but I'm a cocaine addicted football hooligan. I've got a wife and a son. And basically, Danny Dyer's character doesn't have a job. He enjoys snorting coke and beating people up for supporting a different football team. And his wife's had enough. She wants to go back to art school. She gave up her dreams of art school. She's played by Stephanie Leonidas, who people might remember from Mirror Mask, the absolutely wonderful fantasy film
And
from
that
back in the
episode
day.
of Miss Marple, oh, not Miss Marple, of Poirot with Stephen Pertwee in it as well. So there
That
you
as
go.
well. She wants to go back to art school, and basically his father-in-law, who is their landlord as well, says, "I will pay you to look after my son, his brother-in-law, who's been in a psychiatric hospital." At the same time, he gets arrested for his hooliganism, and he's got a month on remand to turn his life around, or he's going to jail. Right, so he's got to give up the drink, give up the bizzo, turn his life around, look after his mentally unwell brother-in-law, not get into fights. Right, so the movie is basically called a rom-com with a kick. Get it? Because of cocaine. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think Danny Dyer is a good actor, right? Because I really thought he was great in EastEnders, where he really showed his stuff with some. He had some proper storylines. I'm going to turn into Danny. He had some proper storylines uh, as Mick Carter, doing stuff about abuse and rape and trauma, and he did some great stuff. And also, he's really funny in Rivals, the show that's on Disney Plus. He's really funny in that. Nick Love, on the other hand, as a writer and director, is a thug. He is a
Yeah.
thug. I went to the premiere, and he basically said, "I want to offend people." And if you've seen any of his films, like, he's not made a film in 10 years. The world, I feel like the world has moved on from the Loaded and the Zoo and the Nuts magazine lad culture. And Nick Love clearly hasn't moved on, because the film is of two halves, right?
Two halves, like a football match.
See what you did there. But like, half of it is Danny Dyer trying to become sober, trying to get a proper job, trying to move on from this history of violence and drug abuse, right? And there's some scenes where his brother-in-law's having like breakdowns because of his mental illness. It's proper acting. It's proper story and character work, and it's really good. The other half is him having a go at people for being gay, having a go at people for supporting a different football team. There's a whole bit where he gets a job as a barista at a
Oh my
tech
God.
firm. And so he gets a job and he hates all the young, the young millennials that work there. And one of the millennials calls one of the other baristas, who is a black man, the N word, my N word. So the two of them beat up all the tech guys. And it's like, I just
What?
also also the fact that all the stuff with the wife character going back to art school, rediscovering her passion, rediscovering what it is she wants to do, is really interesting. And Stephanie Leonidas is a really good actress. But Nick Love doesn't really care about that. What he doesn't really care about all the sobriety stuff. What he cares about is people being told that they're puffs and that they're cross dressers, and that mentally ill people are really violent weirdos with bowl haircuts. And isn't it funny when kids that are like 7 years old get addicted to porn? And isn't it funny to do a load of cocaine and then try to take your clothes off when Labour MPs knock on your door? And isn't it really funny when you kick the crap out of someone because they support Millwall, but you support someone else? And
Millwall.
so,
Is this guy, like you said, he's still stuck in about like, well, he hasn't made a film for 10 years. So is this film what he's been thinking about for 10 years?
yeah,
Is
I
this
mean,
his like, what is it called? A labor of love,
Yeah.
labor of love
10
film.
years in the
I
making.
think, I
Yeah.
think so. And the thing is that clearly Danny Dyer loves Nick Love, right? They're mates. Fine, fair, I get it. but at a certain point, the world has moved on from those films. It's like,
Yeah.
Also,
the
Danny
culture.
Dyer's moved on. He's, like you said, he was doing well in EastEnders. This is a step backwards.
Well, and also, this is Danny Dyer's first film in about 10 years because he tanked his career with movies like Pimp and Run for Your Wife.
No one can forget Run for Your Wife.
And this is his big return to movies. And it's like, it's just, for everything about it, that it's not without merit. Like I say, some of the acting is really good. All the stuff with Stephanie Leonidas is quite interesting. All the stuff about trying to be sober when all your friends still drink and do drugs and don't support you being sober as well. That's all really interesting. But the problem is that Nick Love isn't actually that interested in it. What he's really interested in is Danny Dyer talking about being fat, not being able to maintain an erection, and doing cocaine. And it's like, well, that's funny for about 5 minutes. And it's like the repeated use of the C word. That's funny maybe once, maybe twice. That's quite funny. If it's every other word you use, it loses its power. So I think Marching Powder, clearly it's not going to travel. It's a bit like
It's got an audience,
Robbie
got its
Williams.
audience.
Yeah, set audience. Actually, who's releasing it? I'd like to know.
A24.
At Warner Brothers.
That was Opus. That was Opus. So.
Is that Warner Brothers as well? That's interesting.
No, I don't know who's releasing this one, but it's from a company called True Brit Entertainment.
Well, that says it all.
Well, the introduction we got at the premiere from the founder of True Brit Entertainment, he said, "This is the first film from True Brit Entertainment. We want to tell proper British stories like these."
No, okay.
Now, to be fair, I don't watch football. I don't like football. I'm not into football. I don't get football. But if football culture in film is hooliganism, I don't think I'm ever going to get into football because I don't understand hooliganism. I don't get it.
It's not anymore.
No, it used to be 20 years ago when like all the Green Street films came out, and you're just like, okay.
And this is the thing. I don't really hear about hooliganism anymore. I'm sure it still exists, but it's surely not as big. And, here's the thing, right? There's one line in it that I kind of was a bit like, is this not 20 years too late? Which is, Danny Dyer is trying to reconnect with his wife, and his wife's wearing sexy underwear in their room, and he comes in his pants. And she says, I was thinking you could smash my back doors in. Do people still use that phrase? I feel like that's like
how old are the people how old are these characters meant to be?
Well, they're meant to be in their 40s, but still,
then yes, that's exactly what they say. If you think about it.
I suppose, but I was a bit like, do people still say smash my back doors in?
Maybe not in public, but yeah.
It just seems a bit, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's got an audience.
Just think about the language that we all use because we're all similar ages, right? So there's people who are younger than us going like, people still say that? I'm like, yeah, because we're that age, we say stuff like this. 40-year-olds would say stuff like
that. My wife told me to stop talking like that. It says, unbecoming, David.
The problem is that the whole film's marketed as a rom-com with the kick. It's not romantic and it's not that funny. I mean, maybe I just don't have a sense of humor for people beating each other up. But like, I just feel like this film is 20 years too late to the party.
Yeah,
it does sound like it is. True Brit have missed their calling.
If it was a drama that was just about Danny Dyer trying to get sober, trying to move on from a violent history. If it was Football Factory 2 and his character from Football Factory came out of prison and had to move on from it, a bit like when you watch, is it Adulthood? You know, the sequel to Kidulthood, and he comes out of prison and he's got to move on from what happened in the first movie, and it's all about a history of violence. I did
not enjoy Adulthood. Everyone. That was out when we were in school, and everyone's like, yeah, Kidulthood, so great. I did not enjoy these movies. Obviously, I'm not the audience. Like, just going to say, I am not the audience for these films.
No, I wasn't really the audience for it. But if you were doing a film about a football hooligan who comes out of prison after 20 years and he hasn't moved on, but the world has, and he's got to reckon with that, that would be a really interesting film. The problem is that the film doesn't really care about that. What it really wants to do is go, look at this puff drinking a juice at a pub. He's drinking a soft drink, and we're all drinking pints.
Do
And
you know
it's
what
like,
would have been
yeah,
interesting is if the film had actually been about how this character is also 20 years too late. How everyone around him is just like, mate, what's wrong with that guy drinking juice at the pub?
Yeah.
And he's just like, what? Do you think it's weird? Do you think he's a poof or something? Like, it would be good
yeah,
to see this guy being pointed out to be the one that's behind the times.
and it's got all the Nick Love stuff, and Danny Dye narrates it and all that sort of stuff, and he does the little asides where he's like looks into the camera and goes, "This guy likes to dress up like a woman," and it's like, all right, well, to each their own, mate. Who cares? If he wants to dress up like a
Has Danny Dyer done any other types of films? He must have done, surely. His career is 25 years.
I
No.
mean,
Even EastEnders
no,
is like a bit like the same character, isn't it? Not that I've watched it.
It's more serious though in EastEnders.
Is it?
it's more serious and it's more nuanced than.
Okay.
I mean, look, if I would say the best
It's
thing that
more
you can do
nuanced than EastEnders. Bloody hell.
if you want to watch something genuinely funny with Nick Love and Danny Dyer, watch the commentary for Outlaw, which is a film they made that got mullered by the press, and the commentary is them having a go at critics for 2 hours. It's very funny. That is the fun. That is the best thing they've done. Is the commentary where they call everybody slags. But I don't know. For people who still like Football Factory and stuff like that, and like those sort of shows, I'm sure they'll enjoy most of Marching Powder. But I feel like the people that would enjoy the hooliganism and the drugs bits won't like the bits with the wife going to art school. And the people that like the stuff about the wife going to art school aren't going to like the bits where Danny Dye is kicking people's heads in and stabbing people. So it's a movie for nobody.
Okay, we'll leave it at that then. It's a movie for nobody.
Hey,
And anything else?
Sorry, Danny.
I'll send this to them so they can commentate on the YouTube video.
I would love that. Danny Dyer,
because
tell us.
I do like Danny Dyer. I do like Danny Dyer.
Anything else coming up this week? Or are they looking forward to seeing soon?
Well, personally,
Well, no.
I'm looking forward to something that's arriving in the post from Arrow Films.
Ooh.
What's that?
It's the release of Deep Blue Sea on Blu-ray and 4K, everyone. It's the
Oh,
release we've all been
oh.
waiting for. And I'm not being sarcastic. I'm actually really excited about this.
Does it include the music video to the LL Cool J song?
I'm really hoping so. I actually can't remember what the
Deepest,
special features
bluest.
are.
My hand is like a shark's fin.
Fin.
Deepest, bluest. My hand is like a shark's fin. Yes.
Yeah, we're all praying for that one.
Deep Blue Sea is brilliant. Deep Blue Sea is one of those so bad it's good movies.
Oh yeah,
It's
100% agree. This is why I'm so glad it's getting the Arrow treatment.
when LL Cool J punches the shark and he's like, "You ate my bird." Oh, I love the movie so much. I love it. I love that movie.
So that's what I'm looking forward to. That's coming out. But as for the cinema, I'm not quite sure.
I'm not necessarily looking forward to it. I will be seeing Disney's Snow White.
Why?
because
Why?
because I don't take against all the live action remakes. I actually quite like a few of them. I've actually quite liked.
And Paul has been deleted from the podcast from now on. Thank you for joining us.
I think this one could be spectacularly bad. I just have a feeling.
I have to admit that those dwarfs, which is what they're called in the film, even if that's not the correct term in the rest of the world.
That's in the film. It's correct for the film. Yeah.
Are horrific looking. They are a nightmare fuel. But
on
the thing is,
the new one.
Yeah, the new one. But like I liked Kenneth Branagh's Cinderella. I think Jon Favreau's Jungle Book is better than the animated film.
Do you know what? You just pointed out the two where I'm like, I'm okay with these live actions because I don't actually like the original Disney versions.
Oh,
Rate the originals. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Actually, the live action Lady and the Tramp was okay. I quite like
No,
that.
you can leave now, Paul. That's enough.
Um,
That's enough.
I didn't mind Beauty and the Beast. I didn't like it as much as the animated, but I didn't hate it. I
No,
actually thought that Guy Ritchie's Aladdin was decent, mainly because I thought Naomi Scott was really good as Jasmine. I thought she was a really good Jasmine. I hate with a burning passion John Favreau's Lion King. I think it's an abomination. Pete's Dragon was good. I'm actually quite looking forward to Lilo and Stitch.
do you know what? I've never actually seen the original Lilo and Stitch because I was like, I don't like the
Oh,
story.
that's a
Yeah.
good
I like it.
film. That is a good film.
But for me, I am actually quite interested in. I just want to see Snow White. I like Rachel Zegler as an actress. I think she's a good actress. I liked West Side Story. I liked that Hunger Games movie she did. I quite liked Y2K actually. I quite enjoyed it, and I thought she
I'm
was
very
quite good in
excited
it.
for Y2K, but not because of her. In general, I'm just excited because I love
I,
A24.
I quite enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed Y2K. So I quite like her, and I think she's a good actress. And I'm intrigued. I don't think it's going to be a disaster. I don't think it's going to be a roaring success. I think it's going to be like Aladdin, like Beauty and the Beast, where it's absolutely fine. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll do a little episode once I've seen Beauty, when I've
I,
seen Snow White.
I may have to skip that episode as I will not be watching Snow White ever. I've managed to avoid a lot of the live action. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I'm just like, no, I'm not going to waste my time. I was going to say, so this
I
weekend,
didn't
I'm
watch
actually
Mulan.
good.
I didn't watch Mulan.
I desperately wanted to like Mulan because I love the original, and I was disappointed because the minute they said they're not going to do the music because they couldn't, um, I was I had mentally checked out, and I was very disappointed with what we got.
They don't get down to business to defeat the Huns.
No, they do not. Well,
No,
they kind of do, and some witch lady as well. It's very not Mulan. It's not the Mulan that we all
is
love. And
Mushu in it?
no,
I'm not
Mushu
watching
is
it.
not
Not
in
watching
it.
it.
Like,
Not watching it.
actually, wait, is Mushu in it? I can't remember. I watched it once and I was like, well, that's disappointing. I love the director and I love all the actors, but this was not my Mulan.
That was the first cover for Filmhounds, but I've not actually seen it. So maybe we need to have a watch
Wow.
along,
Should
A
rewatch
watch
for that.
party.
watch party.
The Film Hounds commentary track.
So I'm actually going to the cinema as well this weekend, but I'm doing a double bill of a film both films I've already seen, but because they're back in the cinema as well. Basically, I'm going to be seeing Away and Flow. I have seen both. I saw Away when it originally came out, and I obviously saw Flow last year because I've been talking about it nonstop. I'm going to see Gint's, oh no, I can't pronounce his name, the Academy Award winning director of Flow. I'm going to be seeing Away and Flow. Away was his first film that he did entirely by himself. And I actually reviewed it when it originally came out, but it's being put in the cinemas by Curzon, and they're doing a double bill with Flow, and I'm like, any excuse to see this film again. So that's what I'll be watching. And if anyone else gets a chance, go see both in the cinema because they are both beautiful on the big screen.
Cool. Okay. I think that's all we've got time for this week. Thanks everyone for listening again. Katie, Paul, I'll speak to you soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Stop me if I've told you my life story before, but I'm a cocaine addicted football hooligan.